The night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible.
Breaking news today at 4, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt giving an update just in the last couple of hours on Saturday's shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Also today, the suspected shooter made his first appearance in federal court. So investigators are now examining a note allegedly written by that suspect, 31-year-old Cole Allen.
And there have been a lot of questions since Saturday night about security at the venue. Was there enough? How many layers should there have been? We've also learned authorities are expected to hold a security review later this week for major events involving the president. Here's Lee Waldman.
For the first time, the suspect in a shooting incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. is in court.
The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life.
Right now, investigators are combing through a message said to have been sent by suspect Cole Thomas Allen to his family members before the attack. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says it appears Allen was targeting members of the Trump administration.
We should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day.
The 31-year-old part-time teacher and video game developer from California came armed with several firearms, law enforcement said. The White House will meet this week with the U.S. Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security to discuss security protocol around major events involving the president, according to a senior White House official. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Saturday's incident proves why the new White House ballroom is necessary, but those who oppose the project argue the ballroom would do nothing for private events like the Correspondents' Dinner.
The line of secession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of threats or political violence, and the White House ballroom will provide that.
FBI Director Kash Patel said the Bureau will work with other law enforcement agencies to discuss lessons learned from the incident. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
And today we are hearing from somebody who had a front row seat to some of those terrifying moments.
Yeah, a former producer actually here at Channel 13 was at the Correspondents' Dinner. Our Emily Longnecker talked with our former colleague today. She joins us now in studio with what he told her. Scary.
Yeah, terrifying, right? Well, first off, we're so thankful that everyone from the dinner is okay, including our former co-worker and our friend Toby Capian. Toby is the White House producer for EWTN. That's the Global Catholic Network. So he's at the White House every day working, and this was his 4th time attending this Correspondents' Dinner. Now, according to Toby, he was seated at a table in the back of the ballroom along the center aisle near one of the doors. He says the night had begun rather uneventfully. The president had arrived and was on stage with the First Lady, and people were starting to enjoy their dinners. Toby says he heard something just outside the ballroom door right near his table, but he says he didn't recognize it immediately as gunshots.
The shooting happened kind of, right behind the doors past us. Had the gunman been successful, he would have burst through the doors right by where we were sitting. And in fact, we were so close to where it happened that one of the women who was in that hallway where it actually went down, she ran into the ballroom, dove under our table. That's how close we were. So that part was pretty memorable.
Wow.
Whoa.
Toby says he watched several members of the cabinet taken out of the ballroom right near his table. He says at one point everyone was instructed to stay in the ballroom because they were told the president wanted to continue on with the dinner. Obviously, we know that didn't end up happening. Toby was back at work today as everyone continues to learn more details about how this all unfolded.
I wonder how he was through that whole ordeal. I mean, he seemed pretty calm when he was explaining it to you.
And I was going to say, for all of us who know Toby,
Yes.
and I know folks at home don't know Toby.
Right.
He is a calm guy, right,
I mean, he is, if you worked with Toby, you know he is a very calm and measured, very measured kind of guy. And after listening to his account, it would seem that he held a similar composure during this, chaos and some pretty terrifying moments. He says he even took some video of what he saw going on. That's the journalist in him. Toby also expressed his thanks to the Secret Service for their heroism. He said if the dinner is rescheduled, he plans to be there.
I'm not sure I would have responded the same way.
No.
No, he said he felt a responsibility to those at the table,
Yeah.
to a kind of a protective mode. He's a dad, so he kind of also went into dad mode, dad/journalism mode. He crouched down a little bit. He didn't crawl under the table. He wanted to see what was going on. But again, as Jenny said, Toby is a very, very
Even keel.
kind of guy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So glad he's okay.
yeah,
My
thank
goodness.
God.
And
And
everyone.
everyone is okay. Thank
Yeah.
God. Yep.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay.
Well, right now, police in Bloomington are still searching for the gunman responsible for that mass shooting over the weekend after Little 500 celebrations. So we do know one of the victims is still recovering at the hospital. Our Matthew Foltz went back to Bloomington today and shares how businesses are reacting.
Well, right now things are back to normal here along Kirkwood Avenue following that shooting over the weekend. Bloomington police now telling us 5 people were injured in the gunfire, the youngest just 17 years old. And while they continue to investigate who pulled the trigger, workers in this area tell me they're shocked by the shooting and hope it doesn't happen again. The shooting happened Sunday morning shortly after midnight as large crowds gathered in the street along Kirkwood Avenue. Bloomington police tell us 2 women were seen on video fighting in the crowd before shots were fired. 5 people were hit and 4 others were injured in the chaos of running away. I spoke with the owner of Lenny's just a half a block from where the shooting took place. He believes it's hard to know when something like this will happen.
It's hard to metal detect an entire street, but I think entry into bars and stuff, I know there's places here in town that are already doing that, and I think that would create an added layer of safety for people visiting.
Now, I did reach out to Bloomington police for updates in the investigation. They tell me right now at this time they do not have any. Of course, we'll keep you posted as soon as we learn more. Meanwhile, coming up at 5 p.m. here on 13 News, you'll hear more from a bartender who was working that night along Kirkwood Avenue and saw everything go down. Reporting here in Bloomington, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
Matthew, thank you. One of the candidates for Indiana Senate District 31 is facing charges. Andrew Desalon is charged with possession of cocaine and resisting law enforcement. According to court documents, police responded to a report of somebody soliciting a Fishers neighborhood and found Desalon in his car. When police tried to talk to the 39-year-old primary candidate, they say he showed signs of being under the influence. Police say he began to leave when they asked for his ID and later resisted arrest. After police placed him in handcuffs, they allegedly found a small bag of cocaine inside the car. The state Senate district covers portions of Marion and Hamilton counties.